कैसे हैं?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. We'll start today with the recitation of Quran. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illa allazina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasu bil haqqi wa tawasu bis sabr. Alhamdulillah, we are fortunate to be here in the United States, a nation where freedom of expression, civil rights, and justice prevail. But with this freedom comes a responsibility that we cannot ignore. We are the voice of 250 million of our brothers and sisters in Pakistan, people who are oppressed, silenced, and treated as slaves by those in power. In Pakistan, a powerful few have hijacked the nation. Journals raised by the sacrifices of ordinary citizens now rule like mafias, crushing any dissent. They call all of us as digital terrorists for standing up for truth and justice. They use the military not to defend the nation, but to oppress their own people. Abduction, torture, killing those who dare to speak out. This is not governance. This is tyranny. Our people are living in fear, stripped of their rights, with no freedom of expression and speech. That is simple and pure slavery. These journals see themselves as untouchable, above the law, ruling with guns and tanks to innocent civilians. Even the judiciary is at their mercy, manipulated and coerced into submission. But we, the overseas diaspora, have a duty to stand up. We cannot be silent while our motherland is turned into a dictatorship. The solution is clear: accountability for those who have violated the Constitution, an end to military interference in politics, and restoration of civilian supremacy. We must demand justice and rule of law. So, all overseas diaspora organizations who have the pain for their fellow citizens back home, they got together and they want to give their message to the elites in Pakistan. So few of the organizations who have joined us today to provide this message: Alliance for Democracy and Human Rights, Veterans for Peace and Human Rights, First Pakistan Global, Pakistani-American Physician Association, Voice of Pakistani-Americans, Save Pakistan Coalition, and Community Alliance for Peace and Justice, which is an advocacy group. So all these organizations, they have come to a conclusion, to a single point agenda, that the single person who is responsible for all these atrocities and oppression, who has the most power in the country. And right now in Pakistan, everything is ruled by General Asim Munir. So the person who has the most of the power should take responsibility to destroy the constitution, to destabilize democracy, and for the failure of the economy of the country. In any democratic country, in any democracy, this is the right of the people to demand the resignation of the person who is responsible for all these atrocities. Any person who goes against their duty service oath, who is violating their service oath, and who is violating the Constitution of Pakistan. So this is the demand of all overseas Pakistanis. We just want to make sure that what happened in Pakistan in 1971, when the country was disintegrated into East and West Pakistan. So right now, the mandate of the people is not being respected. Right now, we have seen how they have done the blatant and daylight robbery in the elections. Right now, we see that if the conditions they progress like this, we are almost heading to a civil war or, God forbid, disintegration of the country. So we want to stand up and speak for the people of Pakistan. People of Pakistan, they cannot speak for themselves. There is fear, there is harassment, there is intimidation. You have seen like even the morality in Pakistan is gone. We have seen how the women, the mothers, the sisters, the daughters, how they have been abducted, how have they have been tortured, and how the fabric of the society is being destroyed. In any martial law, like we had three martial laws before, they still have some kind of rule of law and respect for the civilians. This is first time ever we don't see any human rights. We don't see any respect for the family values. So in order to go to our next speaker, we will like to invite Mahlaka Samdani, who is the Director of Community Alliance for Peace and Justice, which is an advocacy group. So I would like Mahlaka Samdani to say a few words. Thank you, Mahlaka.
Thank you, Usman Bhai. Should I just do it from here? Okay.
Wherever you're more comfortable.
Okay, sure. I can do it from there. Thank you, Usman Bhai. Good afternoon, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mahlaka Samdani. I am with the Community Alliance for Peace and Justice and here on behalf of the Pakistan Democracy Campaign, which seeks to improve U.S. engagement with Pakistan in ways that improve democratic norms and promote democratic norms, human rights, and the rule of law in the country. As we are all here, members of the Pakistani-American community, we have a singular message for General Asim Munir and all of those serving in Pakistan's military-backed regime. Time is running out for you all. We will no longer accept the harassment and subjugation of Pakistani pro-democracy activists. We will no longer tolerate the shelling and tear gassing of peaceful protesters. We will no longer tolerate pro-democracy activists, especially women activists, being hauled out of their beds in the middle of the night and subjected to all kinds of abuse. We will no longer tolerate the intimidation of high court judges, the muzzling of the media, and transnational repression. We will no longer accept the ongoing illegal incarceration of former Prime Minister Imran Khan and hundreds of political prisoners who, according to the United Nations and Amnesty International, are being held without access to their lawyers, their families, and it is against and they're violating international law in the process. The Pakistani government is. We will no longer accept the imposition of an illegitimate regime on 240 million Pakistanis that came to power through a stolen election. And finally, we will absolutely not tolerate the constitutional amendments that this illegitimate regime is trying to pass as we speak to further undermine the judiciary. The fact of the matter is, General Asim Munir and all of his civilian lackeys, that the Pakistani-American community is mobilized like never before. We will no longer allow you to flee to the US and other Western capitals after subjecting Pakistani civilians to horrific human rights violations. We will no longer allow for you to access national wealth that you have stolen, and have transferred to Western foreign accounts. Currently, we have two very powerful letters in Congress, both of which are calling for the release of Imran Khan. One of them is calling for the issuing of visa bans and the freezing of assets of individuals who are perpetrating human rights violations. This is the first letter in Congress that names Asim Munir in that context. And that is something that we are forcefully going to push. This letter that I'm talking about was co-led by Congressman Jim McGovern, who is the co-chair of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission. And it's also being led by Representatives Greg Khazar and Summer Lee. At this point, we have more than 40 signatures on this letter, and it includes those representatives who serve on the Appropriations Committee, the committee that determines whether foreign funding, whether American funding will be sent to militaries that violate international human rights standards. Even though these letters are the strongest that the Congress has seen on Pakistan, I would just like to tell General Asim Munir, and again, all of his civilian lackeys, that we are just getting started. This is just the beginning when it comes to the Pakistani-American community. Until you change course, the Pakistani-American community will continue to agitate both in the halls of Congress and in the court of public opinion. All the organizations that are represented here speak with one voice. We call on you, General Asim Munir, to step down. Your ongoing authoritarian rule has not only tarnished the military as a whole, but has sullied the reputation of Pakistan. As members of the Pakistani-American community with very strong connections to our homeland, we will not let this happen. We are deeply invested in Pakistan's future, but this future is currently being threatened by an illegitimate regime. We send remittances since we have investments in properties, in infrastructure, in government programs, and we will no longer send those if this is the course that you plan to pursue. Finally, I would like to talk to the Biden administration. I would like to address the Biden administration and the State Department. And I will say this, that your deafening silence when it comes to Pakistan, the human rights violations that are happening in Pakistan, reek of hypocrisy and double standards. It's not in your long-term interest to continue to support this government. It is no longer in your interest to support a military regime which is causing further instability in the country. We are a country which is the 5th most populous in the world. It also has nuclear weapons, and it is no longer in your interest to support this. Finally, again, to the Biden administration, your failure to stand in solidarity with the Pakistani pro-democracy activists makes your rhetoric around the rule of law and democracy ring hollow. And I would just like to now end with just a few verses from Ahmed Faraz. I'm so sorry to our English-speaking friends here who will not understand this, but this was something that our national poet, Ahmed Faraz, had written for the Pakistani military decades ago, and it rings very much true today. अब पेशावर से लाहौर मेहरान तक तुमने मक्तल सजाए हैं क्यों गाजियों किस शहंशाह आली का फरमान है किसकी खातिर है ये कुछ तो खू गाजियों किसकी ईमा पे है इतनी गारत करी किसके आगे हो तुम सर निगूं गाजियों तुमने देखे हैं जमहूर के काफिले उनके हाथों में परचम बगावत के हैं पटरियों पे जमी पपड़ियां खून की कह रही हैं कि मंजर क़यामत के हैं कल तुम्हारे लिए प्यार सीनों में था अब जो शोले उठे हैं वो नफरत के हैं आज शायर पर भी कर्ज मट्टी का है अब कलम में लहू है स्याही नहीं कौल उतरा तुम्हारा तो जाहिर हुआ पेशवर कातिलो तुम सिपाही नहीं थैंक यू
Thank you so much, Malaka, for very inspirational thoughts. And I think the situation in Pakistan haven't changed in last 50 years. It's the same script which they were running 50 years ago, and now the same script is repeating. And our fear is that we do not want to be late this time, that the country got disintegrated 50 years ago. We want to make sure we move forward and save Pakistan this time. We all have to stand up. We all are the warriors or the heroes for Pakistan. I'm just want to introduce you guys to another hero who have sacrificed a lot for the sake of Pakistan, who is living in the hearts of people of Pakistan. And if you just remember him, that he is the one who is providing you guys some kind of thought-provoking strategy of dot connecting. So he is the king of dot connecting, Dr. Mueed Pirzada.
Thank you. Thank you, the panel. Thank you so much. I wasn't expecting to be called at this moment because I was late. I was trying to absorb what was going on. The problems and complexities of modern life. I was stuck deep inside the parking lot, and there was no communication, between me and Usman for the past several minutes. I also will introduce Dr. Munir, who is on Zoom from Tampa. This letter, which has been initiated by Summer Lee, by Greg Casar, and by Jim McGovern, and which has, I am told, had now 40 signatures, which had 37 signatures, is very important at a very crucial moment in Pakistan's history. Not only that the regime which we see in Pakistan is illegal, has no basis, but we also see that they're now a regime and a government that has no basis in the eyes of the law, which is in fact treating Pakistan as an occupied, conquered territory, is now all set to subvert the constitution and to undermine and destroy the judiciary of Pakistan. I think we are just a few days away, the way things are. They are going to bring an unconstitutional constitutional amendment through which they're going to change the principle of the seniority in the Supreme Court and the judges' appointment, the Al-Jihad Trust case. This is in fact since 1996 that the principle that was established in Pakistan was that the senior most judges will become the chief justices of the Supreme Court and the high courts. This is how it was, but they're now undermining it. And that principle had been arrived after almost 20 plus years of legal and political struggle, in which the governments used to appoint their own chief justices to control the system. This was also similar to the tug of war that happens in terms of the appointment of the army chief. So you can say that how unstable the whole system is. The people who do not have a legal existence or constitutional existence end up appointing the army chief. Then they create a system. The system undermines the Supreme Court, and they are now going to bring a new situation. They're also not 100% clear at the moment, but they're still working to bring a new court called as the Federal Constitutional Court to sit on top of the Supreme Court. That means whatever little human right facility or freedoms that existed through the high courts when the doors were knocked at midnight, people were being arrested, abducted, detained, taken away. That facility or that relief that was being provided by the high courts is actually going to go away. As of last night, I hear that one Pakistani leader, Maulana Fazlur Rahman, the People's Party and PMLN have an agreement on the judicial reforms. That means the package that allows them to transfer the Islamabad High Court judges to Peshawar or to other places. They have more or less basically agreed on it. So I think in the circumstances, this letter, which is not directly related to this on the face of it, is very important because it helps the people across the world and people within this country, the Department of State, the Congress, and the media to focus on the situation in Pakistan. So I think that is why this letter is very important. Is Dr. Munir ready? Can I, bring him in? Right? Okay.
I'm ready, Mohit bhai.
Yes, Dr. Munir, let me welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. I hand it over to you, and you can go ahead and tell us. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today for this press conference. Before I go any further, and I won't take more than 3 minutes of your time, I would like to remind everyone that none of us came here today because we hate anyone. But all of us came here today for one reason and one reason only, and that is we all love Pakistan. And all those people who are in position of power and authority in Pakistan right now need to take a step back and think as to how their actions have harmed the Federation. We believe the current course will not lead to anything but disaster for the country, as the decisions which are being made are not in the interest of the nation as a whole. And the nation has already made their decision that they will not accept criminals disguised as politicians to be their rulers anymore. The complete breakdown of constitution, rule of law in Pakistan is in nobody's interest, especially the interests of United States of America. History has taught us that whenever global powers have supported dictatorships or illegal regimes for their short-term national interests have led to disasters in the long term. Such disasters have caused death and destruction all over the world, including the Western world and including the United States of America. Let's not forget what happened on 9/11. And we believe, as patriotic Pakistani-Americans, our foremost duty is to help with course correction and point out the flawed policies which have far-reaching consequences for the interests of United States in future. We all believe that the United States have always stood for the fundamental principle of democracy based on free and fair elections, free speech, and human rights. And these principles are absolute, and any presumed national interest which has been defined for achieving some short-term goals and forces the United States to abandon these principles on which our great nation was basically formed and partner with fascists and dictators and tyrants will in the long term always be detrimental to the interests of United States of America. History is full of such examples. For example, we know what happened when the United States decided to overthrow the democratic prime minister of Iran, Mossadegh, in 1950s and supported the tyrant Shah of Iran. That policy directly led to the taking over of Iran by the religious extremist regime. And now we are at war with them. Whatever happened after that with the war with the Soviets and the way it was managed by eventually led to creation of Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, and 3,000 people died in New York. So we need to be very careful. Everybody needs to take a step back and think how these short-term policies in Pakistan, the kind of disaster we'll be looking at, will be unprecedented, because you are talking about a nuclear armed nation. We believe every principle of democracy that the United States stands for here in Washington, D.C. applies to Pakistan also. And this is what our struggle is about. Our organization, Alliance for Democracy and Human Rights, is demanding resignation of General Asim Munir, and we completely reject the illegal constitutional amendment that has been imposed by the illegal regime in Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was Dr. Munir Khan for Alliance for Democracy and Human Rights in Tampa. He's a physician. Before I actually go to Sajjad Waki Sahab, I would like to request if there are any questions. I can also see Ryan over there. Yes, Ryan, go ahead. Yeah, you have the...
Ask for a quick update on the status of the letter that's going around Congress. How many signatures do you have? When do you intend to finish the signature gathering and submit the letter?
I think Mahalika will be able to tell more. Yes.
Sure. So right now we have about 42 signatures and counting. And we have it open until next week, until October 22nd. Yeah.
So I think this is quite a progress. Yes. Right. You have a comment? Okay. Is there any other question from the panel? Is anyone a question, a comment for the panel? so forth? Okay. Sajjad Barki Sahab, I will request you to go ahead. You want to come here?
I guess. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. First of all, thank you all for being here. I want to thank Dr. Usman and especially First Pakistan Global for putting this event together today and getting all of us in one room so that we can talk about something that we are very, very concerned about, meaning the situation in Pakistan, how we all can help Pakistan, what is our relationship, with the current situation over there. I personally, I represent Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, although we are not partners in this event today. We have many, many chapters all across the US who work very diligently in this cause, and I, manage them, I coordinate them, and I help out with what's going on. So that's kind of my designation, and I can submit to any questions if you have any regarding Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf later on, if you will. Why are we here today? I think to address the political and the economic crisis, turmoil that we see in Pakistan. It has affected all of us. I've heard some people say that, well, this is happening in Pakistan. We people moved away from there. We live in this country now. So why should we be worried about it? Well, I left that country almost 50 years ago, and it still bothers me. I still have family there. That is still home to me. And I am very much a part of that country. So that's why I will continue my struggle for that country. We all know how this crisis started. Without going into much detail, I do want to, bring it up that the regime change, whoever managed it, was a huge portion of where we are today. If it wasn't for the regime change, whether it was supported by the State Department over here or it wasn't, whether it was brought in by the military in Pakistan, whether it was the doings of just one General Bajwa, look at the consequences of what has happened over the last couple of years. A working economy, a working democracy has been completely destroyed. We have become a dictatorship with no rules, no rule of law. Most people like to now call it shamefully a jungle where the whoever has the most power makes the rules according to their own wishes. That's the country that it has become now. Not the country. This is not what we wanted it to be. When we thought of Pakistan in the last few years, we thought of Pakistan as a growing society, a growing economy, partners in global affairs, had a voice. Our leader, Imran Khan, was very rapidly becoming the leader for the Muslim world and leading them. And then everything came down with a crash. How did all that happen? Immediately after, a few things that I want to talk about, or actually point out, what I call now is a controlled destabilization of Pakistan. And mind you, anybody thinks that this is just happening by itself? No, it's not. It's very, very controlled and managed. We all have our guesses who's managing it. There have been abductions, wrongful confinement, torture, assassination. Let's not forget the the assassination of journalist Arshad Sharif and others, enforced disappearances, very common, false cases, exile. We have examples sitting here in this room who have had to leave their home, their families, practically had to run away from that country, for fear of their lives. Harassment of the judiciary, which is, I think, an international criminal act, and it is constantly happening in that country. Why do we keep talking about all these things? Because some people will tell you, and unfortunately, some of our elected leaders over here, they point that out to us when we talk to them, that, oh, well, what are you guys complaining about? You have an elected government in Pakistan. There is a parliament in Pakistan. There's a Senate in Pakistan. They're all elected. Well, they're not elected. They have just been put in this place by fraud, by a stolen mandate of this part of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. And that's why we don't think they have the right to government in that country anymore. So what we're looking for is civilian supremacy, like any other country in the world. Armies have a role, militaries are important in every country, but they're important only for the job that is assigned to them. They're not put in place and they're not funded to run countries, to run governments, to assassinate people, to kidnap and torture people. That's not why we fund militaries in our countries. And unfortunately, that's what's happening in Pakistan right now. Anybody who thinks that the current atmosphere is being managed by the civilian government over there is very wrong. It's all being managed by the Pakistani military. They're responsible for everything that's happening over there. I do have a few. I'm going to end with that. Few demands, or what we want to, as Pakistani-Americans, demand today. Most of us have been talking about the same thing. I don't want to go repeat again and again, but it's also very important to remember that this crisis has, most people, unfortunately, our State Departments thinks that they're doing the right thing. But I think it's put a huge dent in the relationship between the US government and the people of Pakistan. They may be thinking they have a great relationship with the government sitting over there. But the US State Department needs to recognize that the Pakistani people are not looking at you in a friendly manner anymore. Their leader has been incarcerated for over 2 years, and they happen to think that the State Department and the Biden administration, with their complete silence on this matter, are partners in this crime. And this will not turn out well. I don't want to go, somebody had already mentioned Iran and the whole thing, but that's where this whole thing will go if it doesn't work out well. Here's what I think are overseas today, as I stand here for myself, for my party, and some of the groups that are over here. What are our demands? Why are we here today? Number one, we strongly condemn and will resist any illegal or unconstitutional steps in Pakistan. This is, I'm talking now on behalf of the overseas Pakistanis over here. Number two, we do not accept the current government as a democratically elected government, since the overwhelming mandate of PTI, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, was stolen. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf remains as the majority party in Pakistan. We demand full access to Imran Khan through his personal physician his legal representation, his attorneys, and his sister. Number 4, we demand the immediate release of Imran Khan and his spouse, Bushra Bibi, his sisters, his nephew, his lawyer, Mr. Panjota, and all of the political prisoners that have been held without any cases. We will not accept any constitutional amendment brought forth by this unelected, incomplete Assembly and Senate. It will be considered an abrogation of the Constitution. Number 6, we strongly support a mass movement and protest against this military regime with a civilian facade. We request the US administration to use its influence and economic might to stop undemocratic actions and human rights abuses being committed by the Pakistan government, and place sanctions and visa restrictions on those committing these atrocities. And on top of the list of people committing these atrocities are the military personnel led by General Asim Munir. So these are some of the things that we strongly believe in, we demand as overseas Pakistanis, and we will, inshallah, continue our struggle over here side by side with our brethren in Pakistan who are sacrificing not only their living, their lives in some places. I know there's been a lot of criticism on some of our PTI leadership, but let me, without going into any details, before any of us sits here abroad and decides to criticize somebody in Pakistan, please listen to some of the stories of horror that these people have gone through. And will then realize that it isn't that easy what they're doing over there. They're standing for the country, they're standing for their party, they're standing for Pakistan, and inshallah, we will support them forever. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sajjad Barki Sahab. This was Sajjad Barki from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, also giving his demands. There was an old Chinese saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single small step. I think, whereas it may look very humble, very small, very few Pakistanis have collected together and joined hands, along with few congressmen within the United States, demanding the resignation of Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir. But this is the first important step. This is a small first thing that has already happened. It has never happened before that the Pakistani communities in any part of the world have demanded and have identified that the real problem lies with the powers that are being exercised by one man, the army chief, and they're demanding his resignation. So it's a very big step, though it may look very small at the moment, but I am sure and I hope that it's going to travel onwards. With these words, I'll request Tazeen Zaha Sahiba, Media Director of the First Pakistan Global, to come and basically give us, you want to basically speak from there? Okay, thank you.
Come. Sit here. Thank you so much, Dr. Munir. I just
Bring the mic.
Is this on?
yeah, this is on. It's okay. Okay. So I don't have to elaborate a lot because a lot has been said by Dr. Munir, Dr. Mohit Pirzada, and Sajjad Barki. Melaka has already said a lot about what is going on in Pakistan. I just want to reiterate that in the last 2 years, we have witnessed what has been unleashed on Pakistani citizens in Pakistan. And we are also witnessing the horrible events going on in Pakistan right now. the worst human rights atrocities are inflicted upon the citizens of the country. And this fascist regime is backed by a handful of army generals and a coalition of illegal government that has been put in place. And as we have witnessed that people are being abducted and forced to vote on amendment in the constitution so that the illegal coalition government backed by Asim Munir can unleash more violence on its innocent civilians. We have also witnessed a brutal crackdown on women, children, and the elderly who were peacefully exercising their right to protest. Most recently, we've witnessed a brutal crackdown on innocent students in Punjab College, where there was a young student was a victim of sexual assault in broad daylight in the basement of a campus. And these students are not able to protest for this, on behalf of the victim. So these are the things that are we see more and more happening now. And there's a massive crackdown on students. There's a massive crackdown on peaceful protesters. So as Pakistanis, we deserve better. And we deserve a government representative of the will of the people. The mandate that was stolen by the Form 47 coalition government backed by Asim Munir and his cronies, we want justice for the people of Pakistan. And we demand Asim Munir's resignation immediately, as he has instigated the ongoing political unrest and degradation of democratic values in Pakistan. So as Pakistani-Americans, we stand united for a peaceful, democratic, and prosperous Pakistan. Thank you.
Dr. Nagmana Baja, can I request you to come here, or would you like to speak from there? Yeah, please come. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I don't know if any of you know me, but my name is Nagmana Bajwa. I represent myself, right? I actually am representing Pakistani diaspora here in this area and around the globe. I'm talking in my personal capacity because I am really bothered by what's going on in Pakistan. I left Pakistan 30 plus years ago, and I'm a general surgeon by training, working for corporate for last few years. And I understand what it takes to run a household, what it takes to run a small company, a medium, large company. And by virtue of that, what it takes to run a country like Pakistan, which is a nuclear power, top 5 in population, in natural resources, in anything you can think of. Pakistan is in a very strategic geopolitical place where we have to be very careful in how we deal with Pakistan. It is in the best interest of United States, which is our adopted home, right? So we, if I say in maybe Urdu, Punjabi, if you guys understand, कि हम ना इधर के हैं ना उधर के हैं, right? So we left the country 30, 40, 50 years ago. We left our hearts not in San Francisco, but in Pakistan, right? Our families are there, our relatives are there. And anytime anything happens in Pakistan, our hearts bleed over here. And that's why I chose to speak today. And I'm collaborating with all of these institutions and working with them firsthand because our country is going through a lot of pain. And a lot of people need to understand that it is not in the best interest of United States to leave Pakistan the way it is going on right now. Democracy. What is democracy? United States, the biggest democracy, needs to understand that it is the will of people represented by elected officials, right? And if the will of people is represented by goons and people who have not been elected, how can they be the representative in that country? And if we are vilifying it knowingly, what is going on? What is our hand? And I am talking to President Biden and his administration. What is our hand in this whole saga that's playing out? And then when we grew up in that country, we grew up with nagmas like "E puttar hatante nahi vikte," and it still brings tears to my eyes when I listen to this, and it gives me goosebumps. What are we seeing today? That all those puttars have now are being purchased on the streets, and then they've really sold their own country. They have sold their souls. And the one person who can actually put the course back on track is General Asim Munir. So I would appeal to you as the Hafiz, as knowing the Quran, as the custodian of the Quran. If it's in your chest, in your heart, has it not affected anything in your heart? How can in your right conscience see women being dragged on the streets? We grew up in a Pakistan where even qatl, murders were forgiven if a maa, bhan or beti went to you and said to their elders and said, we need to stop this mass murder going on. How can you not go back to basics and ask yourself, including all the other officials that are sitting knowingly that they are illegal in these offices and not looking at their hearts, not looking at their conscience? Maryam Nawaz, you are a woman, and how can you see other women being treated like this, mothers treated like this? So I would appeal to you, each and every one Pakistani sitting in this room and also listening to what I have to say, and in Pakistan, look at your own conscience, speak up, because that is the main right. If you look at top 3 human rights, and I'm a certified human rights activist, number 1 is or top 3 is freedom of expression and speech, civil liberties, and so on. And if you can, looking at our Prophet as well, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those are the basic teachings that he also taught. Those are the teachings that Allah wants us to speak up, right? Ikra is the knowledge. And with that knowledge, how can we be complacent in what is going on and not speak up? So I will not say too much any further, but I would really appeal to each one of you guys to at least do your part and talk about what is not right. If we are complacent in all this zulm, we are part of the zulm then. That is how I lead my life. And I would really appreciate and encourage each one of us to take our job seriously and make sure that we actually speak the truth, and wherever we can, bring about and talk about the issues that are going on and that are not acceptable. Thank you.
Nazish, from Nazish Riaz, the director of the Safe Pakistan. Go ahead.
Conference or just a seminar?
It was supposed to be a press conference to basically, it was supposed to be a conference to basically, I know there will be a Q&A. I think I just saw you or you. Oh, I missed you. Okay, just let him complete his thoughts and then they can be, you can ask the question and answers from the panel. Thank you. Good to see you. I'm somehow the other missed you. You were sitting so silently. Nazish, please. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. Ahmadun salli ala Rasul Kareem. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, thank you, everyone, for your presence. And I would like to thanks First Pakistan Global for providing us this platform where we can unanimously speak about what we all feel. There's a lot being said. I love Dr. Munir when he said that, we are not here to disagree with anybody or hate anybody. We just want to do what our role is, what our culture, what our religion, what humanity has taught us to raise the voice against the oppression that has been happening back in Pakistan. We do not need to hash out the laundry list of how the human rights violations are being violated in Pakistan. But I'm an engineer by profession. So let me look at this by the, um, a lens, as Dr. Mohit says, a lens of political science he uses, but I will use it at the lens of a engineer. So, in order to identify any problem, we do 5 why problems, and we do the root cause investigation and analysis on it, right? And we reach a corrective action or a preventative action. So we all know that, the problem of Pakistan, however you define it, wherever we are, in the past 60 years, if you do the dissection of it and where we are compared to, like, we are seeing a new bottom every single day. And where we are, is it, think about it. We are all immigrants over here. We came from that country. We got educated from those professional organizations. We are all successful, alhamdulillah, here in this society. Why? Because there's a rule of law, and they have provided us some platform to be successful. And the competition is, you all might agree that competition is pretty tough and pretty strained back home. And the same individuals in that society are failures. That country is a failure. What is the reason for that? If you keep on digging into 5 whys, that Pakistan belongs to become a banana state, a banana republic, and so much have been, the country socially and ethically and morally has declined. What is the root cause for that? You go on and say, because of the corrupt politicians. Yeah, okay. Who bring the corrupt politicians? You can keep on blaming Zardaris and Nawaz Sharifs of the world, but, there has to be a source behind it. All this is being orchestrated by one single force. I am a keen listener of Dr. Mohit, and he always, use the term that military, general chief is military and military is chief, right? So unfortunately, that is what is the root cause of that country. That one person who has been given so much of power that everybody, all the rest of the generals, including the majors, including the shaheeds of that military, acts as dummies. They have to listen to his orders without thinking of their morality. They just follow that one person's orders. That is the chief of that military, and that is the real root cause. And I've, as my other fellow colleagues and parties over here have demanded, I would agree with them, and I would second them, that these problems will not be resolved until we all agree and say it loud. It's time to call spade as a spade, guys. We cannot be beating around the bush, as they say over here. We need to say that Asim Munir has to resign. He has to go home. He's the root cause of the problem. He's the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nazish Riaz, for your comments. Now I would like to call the next person on the news briefing, Mr. Anwar Iqbal. So we'll get back to you. Just 1 or 2 more people left. So in the end, we have a Q&A session for about 30 minutes. So, that would be all yours. So I would like to invite now Colonel Akbar. He is representing Veterans for Peace and Human Rights. So Colonel Akbar.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen who are here. This is a unique moment for me personally. As you know now, that I've been in Pakistan Army, and I served like over 20 years there, then came to United States, make this our new home. And this has been a phenomenal journey. Today, how Pakistan is and how the US is interacting with the situation in Pakistan is the focus of what I'm going to say right now. But it is not only me. What I'm trying to project at this time, pass on not only to the people who are here in the United States, in Pakistan, but the world over. Pakistan Army has been a renowned, regular army of some reckoning for a very long time. US and Pakistan military has gone hand in hand right from independence. You went into alliances, you went into CETO, CENTO, 50s, and then onwards, and then, come to the latest or contemporary um, cooperation and joint major wars that Pakistan military and United States military have been conducting together with, of course, the umbrella of overall, the umbrella of political side and the governments and all that. That has all turned very, very bad, not only for the people of two countries, Pakistan and United States in particular. It's a lose-lose equation right now. It is not a win-win thing. Due to my, service and experience in Pakistan Army, I had a very, I should say, deep experience, not only on the military operational side, but also how Pakistan military, not only in Pakistan, but worldwide, comes in and plays its role in aid to civil power, right? What they've been doing, politics and military mixing up in Pakistan. I don't have to go into the details. You have three very specific dictatorial time segments, 10 years, 30 years right there between Ayub, Zia, and Musharraf. And then what Pakistan Army has been doing internationally. Pakistan Army has had, with your UN peacekeeping operations, in the last over 20 years now, almost 30 years, has been involved, committed globally into countries where, let's say, the rule of law was not there. There was a requirement that, conditions should be made where people get their mandate. Free and fair elections all across Africa, mostly they've been there. Now, with all this and the support of the West, what we claim as the leader of the free world, today we are here in Washington, D.C. It is the Rome of today, right? And the power projection and this leadership role that Americans, we are Pakistani-Americans. We now, over decades of American life and interaction with American values and everything. So we now, these communities which have come up and give this pressure, I represent the veterans, people who have served in Pakistan Army especially, and how they have interacted with the international community of military people worldwide. In that, not that I'm speaking on behalf of the organizations like Pakistan Ex-Servicemen Society, Veterans of Pakistan, Pakistani Veterans Association of North America. Put together, these are thousands of mainly officers, the leadership cadre of military. Today, with the support and actually request of the members of these organizations, which made me come here and send a message directly to the current leadership of Pakistan Army, which is painted in outright blood of innocent Pakistanis. The message is that the veterans and who have a lot of connection with the people who are serving in Pakistan Army, it is no more acceptable what is being done by the leadership of Pakistan Army, and on the head is General Asim Munir. General Asim Munir has lost his all ethical, moral authority. This whole, I can't even call it an institution. It has just become a supra law enforcement agency. And the way it has destroyed a semblance of a regular army, it is pathetic. And what it has entailed. The Pakistani society, as the panelists before me and the community leaders before me who had been speaking about it, that you see, when a society shatters, what comes out? the law of jungle. There is absolutely no rule of law right now. We in America, leaders of the free world, when we talk about this thing that we have to support democracy, we have to support human rights, we have to support the rule of law. So what have we done? What have we done? Pakistan Army veterans, 80% of them, I can say that with lot of conviction, today they are not accepting what Asim Munir is doing. They are not accepting even the external or the international stakeholders, how they are interacting with this illegitimate power center in Pakistan. Why? Because every day there is an escalation into war crimes. These are war crimes. You can pick up the Charter of International Criminal Court. You can go back to history. The Iron Curtain of fascism and tyranny is very clearly being drawn on 250 million, approximately, people of Pakistan. This does not have only effect in that country, not only in that region, but globally. So I'll keep it very brief. The idea to come and stand here in front of a very large audience and give a direct message and bring out the reality of the environment which is prevailing in Pakistan is the focus right now. I would also, because I've had that experience of being deployed and trained into an international arena, being from Pakistan Army, and during my service, I wish today I had somebody from CENTCOM today here. I wish General Kurilla, whatever feed that he is giving into State Department is based on reality. It is not. It is definitely not. It is creating more problems. If the State Department today or CENTCOM today just pick up, it is off-the-shelf information that if a person like Asim Munir, he sits with the Prime Minister of China. China is a declared, I have no inhibition to say that, is a declared enemy, right? Why? Because how the China has changed from collaboration and assistance with United States, it's just gone to the other side. This is what the focus is, State Department or your Department of Defense. Now, at this point, there is a very immediate reset required by the West, the leader of the free world. If you don't do it, we are dealing with another North Korea. We are dealing with this coming or this emergence of the new dictatorship in Pakistan is not going to be my dictator. It is not going to be a West-sponsored dictatorship. So that thing has just been very clear. I thought I should come up. So 2 points. One is that how the veterans feel about this situation and the environment there in Pakistan. And secondly, as Pakistani-American, and where we very strongly feel we are interacting with our representatives. And it is very encouraging, actually. We talked earlier about how the our representatives are coming together and being forced to put this correction. With this, I thank you, and let's see how this goes.
So we'll go to the next session right now. Just want to reiterate things that today's event, there are different organizations and different groups which have their own opinion. And, here in this country, we have freedom of expression and freedom of speech. So everybody can come and say whatever they want. If we look at the 2023 State Department Human Rights Report, so that exposes all the atrocities committed under this regime in great details. It highlights acts of torture, abductions, and right now we have few surveys which were conducted among the diaspora in North America, which indicates that more than 80% of overseas Pakistanis, they hold military regime and the General Asim Munir directly responsible for all the destruction and destabilization of the country. We are heartened by the unanimous support from American congressional leaders for House Resolution 901, and then the recent Kassar, Lee, and McGovern letter, which directly calls out General Asim Munir by name, advocating for visa bans and travel restrictions. This marks the beginning of the diaspora's commitment to ensuring the illegitimate regime faces consequences for its crimes against humanity. The international community must hold this regime accountable for the unprecedented human rights abuse and the atrocities they have inflicted on the people of Pakistan. So, having said these things, we just want to make sure we are not here to tell that some institutions they are not loyal or they are going above the law. With this institution, the Pakistani military, we all grow up, from last 70 years with the unconditional romance and love for that institution. We have given all the sacrifices. The poor people of Pakistan, with their blood and sweat, they have raised this strong institution. So again, the people still love their shaheeds. They still love their jawans who are on the borders. We just are asking that since we had that love relationship, that for God's sake, do your course correction. For God's sake, do a kind of a course correction so we can establish democracy and we can establish rule of law in Pakistan. So we just have few charter of demands. We want to make sure there should be a restoration of civilian supremacy. We want to make sure there is independent judiciary and free media. We just want to make sure there is no military interference in politics. The cornerstone of any democracy is free and fair elections. So we just want to make sure we have fair and free elections in Pakistan, so mandate of the people would be respected. We want accountability and implementation of Article 6 on the people who have violated the Constitution and the all other rule of law in Pakistan. We want the release of the political prisoners. We want protection of civil liberties and end of abductions. And we want resignation of unconstitutional power holders. And with all this, we want to go to the next step, which is the Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, we have our panel here. They can answer your questions. So just raise your hands and yes, sure. Nazir. Maybe Dr. Mueed, if he can come and conduct the Q&A session and have some comments as well, that would be really great. Maybe start.
Dr. Usman, I think first of all, the first question was from Anwar Iqbal Sahab, the correspondent of Dawn newspaper here in Washington. Ji Anwar Sahab, thanks for your patience.
Two things. First, of course, I need a little more details about this move in, I don't know if it is in the House or the Senate. And you said you have 42 signatures. Is it a bipartisan move supported by both Republicans and senators? What are your future plans? Will it just be a letter, or you want to move a resolution as well? So we need that kind of detail, and there's some prominent names if you have. This is the first part of the question. The second part is you have done, so Barki Saab, you have done this before. You passed a resolution with a huge majority, and you have held several protests and rallies. I have attended most of those and everything, but nothing is working. I mean, Americans actually cannot go there physically and remove the army chief. So what will be the next stage? What else can you do to achieve your demands? Thank you.
Gee, so Thank you. So Anwar Saab, the letter that there are currently two letters in Congress right now. One of them recently was introduced. The second one that we were talking about was introduced a couple of weeks ago, and it has about 42 signatures and counting. It's mostly in the House. This is not so much a bipartisan letter so far. We're still trying to get Republicans on the letter, but at this point, it's primarily a predominantly Democratic letter. It wasn't meant to be that way, but I mean, so far the signatures that we do have are of leading Democrats and progressives. We have people from the Appropriations Committee who have signed on to that letter. Again, as I mentioned before, that is the committee that determines whether Congress should authorize funding to militaries and foreign governments that are violating international human rights standards. We also just got somebody from the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and we're really at that point where we're thinking that it might snowball into a much bigger sort of set of signatures that we might get on that. At this point, we're also working on the Senate side. We have no, that is just something, a work in progress at this point. We're trying to get very progressive senators to perhaps lead that in the Senate. But I mean, that is just something that we're working on, and we hope that it will get there at this point. The second letter that was introduced by Congresswoman Wild and Congressman James is currently also, trying to get signatures for that as well. But that came a little bit later. And so I think the primary focus at this point is the first letter that came out, co-led by Jim McGovern. And you also asked whether this is just it's a letter. It's a letter to President Blinken and President Biden, and also addressing Blinken to sort of ensure that what we're asking for in terms of visa bans and asset freezing and all of those things come to pass. So it's a very strongly worded letter. And again, the first letter that actually mentions General Asim Munir by name. And inshallah, like we mentioned earlier, this is really just the first step. The Pakistani-American community has recently become very mobilized, as you know, and inshallah, we're hoping that this will lead to actually, bills and laws that are binding. Resolutions aren't binding as such. So that is going to be the next step, as long as we have the entire community involved. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to.
Well,
Yes.
thank you. I think Melka already probably answered most of your questions anyway. But I kind of a little bit a disagreement with you, on whether our previous activities have had an effect or not, or whether anything worked. I happen to think that yes, it is working. I happen to think that it is putting plenty of pressure on the military regime in Pakistan, and gradually we are increasing our demands over here. And I think that's what bothers them most. Until a few months ago, we never placed any demands of resignations or restrictions or visa restrictions or asset freezing over here. Now we do. And in the meantime, as you all understand, this exercise with the legislature is not something that happens overnight. It takes time. And we've gone through a learning process. We have made some friends now. We are gaining some access to Congress and to the power corridors. And we think that in the long run, this will be very helpful for Pakistan. So I think it's a fruitful exercise.
Yeah, there's a question there, sir.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Dr. Jalal. I first of all want to congratulate First Pakistan Global for putting this together and bringing such an amazing panel. What I was pleasantly surprised the most today in this press conference was the fact that this is the first time I heard people actually mentioning and saying it out loud who the actual culprit behind all of this, what the mess is that's happening in Pakistan, which is General Asim Munir. With somewhat a slight disagreement, I know that PTI has put in a lot of effort in the last 2 years. Unfortunately, we really haven't seen a lot of impact on the ground. Mr. Imran Khan is still in prison, and the situation there seems to be getting worse for him, as well as the situation. So a lot of us who have family in the military and understand the mindset. Sometimes, in Urdu, it says that wo sharafat ki zaban, like the more you show patience and tolerance. So I guess my question is, moving forward, now that we've overcome this big hurdle of actually mentioning General Asim Munir, what should be some of the steps that we take as Pakistani Americans and then sort of like lead the effort in Pakistan? I understand the limitations they have because of the fear of their livelihood and lives. What guidance would you say moving forward for the Pakistani community? And I would love to hear Dr. Osman's thoughts on this as well.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think the Pakistani-American community, they have evolved in the last 2 years. If you make a comparison before 2 years, we were just like a crowd. But in these 2 years, with all these 2 years of fascism and, when the democracy was backsliding, the community emerged as a unity. So in the future, when we see that Pakistan has a democratic government and rule of law, so this is a strength. The diaspora emerging as a unity is a strength. So we can really work to improve the economy of Pakistan, and we can develop more trade relation based on our the recent penetration with the lawmakers and with the Congress. As far as the other question concerned, that what's going on in Pakistan with the political prisoners and what else we can do, I think being a community as with morality and ethics, what the Pakistanis can do, they can do a social boycott of all the people who are involved in the regime, all the politicians who are doing those atrocities, all the military people who are involved in those abductions and kidnappings and killings, and at the student level, you can kind of boycott, their families who are part of this. So they should feel that heat, that, the community is boycotting all their activities. And secondly, we can see we have investments in Pakistan. We want to double our investment in Pakistan, but with this law and order situation, with this democratic crisis, people are pulling out their investments from there as well. And then the third thing, if the military is not going to stop their involvement in politics, then the people can boycott their products, the garrison products. They have, so many products which are in the market. They own so many businesses. So at least community can do those activities. I know they cannot raise voice. They are being treated like slaves, but they can do these things. They can boycott tourism to Pakistan until, the condition improves. We want Pakistan to flourish, but not under this fascism. Thank you.
Yeah. No. So, no. I in fact want to ask a question to Parkisa, but you go ahead, please.
Basically, can you hear me? Yeah. So basically, all the speakers basically said that, like Malaika Samdani and Barkisa especially said that all these things are happening in Pakistan. You explained all the events, and obviously I agree with and I share thoughts, whatever you said. Anwar Bhai also asked a question, but I think that is not answered yet. As a journalist, I have in my mind that you repeatedly said that you will not accept now. So what will you do? I know what is happening on the level you are trying to convince the legislators here and things like that. But what do you mean by saying this, that you will not accept now? I have another question, but
yeah, this is a question to Parkisa, right? I assume. Yeah, difficult question.
Well, yeah, I know it's very difficult. I wish I had a great answer to this. Only thing we can do, see, we have to, the way I see it, I can only do what an overseas Pakistani can do. I am not on the ground in Pakistan. I am not somebody that can go march in the streets over there. I'm not somebody who can, go and shout slogans over there in D Chalk. I do my share from here. And how do I do that? I show the people in Pakistan that we stand with you. It is just an increased strength for the crowds over there. What I also try and do myself personally at my level is engage the youth of Pakistan. And I'm very happy to see that we've seen that in the last few weeks. Maybe it was because of a certain incident also, but the youth of Pakistan is finally beginning to come out. And I don't think anything will change in Pakistan until the youth of Pakistan come out. They are the only ones who can bring change. People like me, we already have, we'll do our share, but we have our limitations. It's the youth of Pakistan, inshallah, that will come out and bring change, and we'll support them. That's all we can do, sitting abroad and try and force some kind of legislation here in this country, if we can. We're trying.
So, yeah, please go ahead.
Like as a journalist, we have to support anything democratic, like the PTI since long protesting against the unconstitutional moves. PTI is in Pakistan is demonstrating and protesting against the efforts to make a unconstitutional constitutional amendment. So this is their right. But one of the speakers here, Tazeen Sahiba, mentioned a rape incident in Lahore, which I understand is really controversial thing, and there are no solid evidences. But because she has said this by using a platform of an organization, if she knows about the name of the victim or any specific details, because I think that a political movement which is based on facts and which is demanding its rights and is protesting against something undemocratic, if it will base its slogan on an incident which is not proved, it will ultimately hurt that movement. So may I ask, what is the name of the victim of the rape incident there?
I would like to answer that question. Mohit bhai?
Yep. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure what the good name of this journalist is who asked this question.
Ahmed Qureshi sir. Sorry, Noorani sir.
Yeah, Nurani Saab, this is Dr. Munir from Tampa, Florida. I would like to answer the question which was raised earlier also about what we will do next as overseas Pakistani-Americans. The group that you are seeing here, it's part of a much bigger group, and we collaborate regularly. We brainstorm, we discuss ideas, how we are going to proceed. We have a very, very clear path about what we are going to do next. Right now, step one is engagement with Congress, impressing upon them the need to uphold the Constitution of the United States, which includes the Bill of Rights. Right now, we are at stage one, and we are finding the like-minded congressmen and everybody else around them also is gradually rallying around us. HR 901 was a great success for the community. We are only going to build upon it. Initially, we are very, very careful about not naming any individuals in Pakistan for, the obvious reasons. But unfortunately, despite our patience and hoping that there will be some course correction and some people will take a step back and think that maybe their actions are harming the federation and they will start taking the right decision, they did not. So now we are escalating. We are naming the person we believe is directly responsible. This is only going to escalate. We are not only here in Washington or across America, we are across the entire globe. We are collaborating with our friends in Canada. There is a petition in Canadian Parliament already asking for visa bans and other sanctions against the Army generals. We are working on Parliament in Australia and in United Kingdom also. These efforts are eventually all going to join together and be a much bigger movement. So this is step one only. It is only going to escalate. Our plans are very simple. Next, we are going for collaborating with certain institutions, including international organizations, and we will most likely be filing lawsuits against the individuals who has committed these crimes. And then we are also going to start holding seminars with these organizations, including different organizations which are focused on democracy and human rights. And we will make sure that the mainstream media also start talking about it. Then we are going to build upon that even further. Those plans for now are kind of secret, so I'm not going to elaborate upon them. But the bottom line is, rest assured that for many of you guys sitting in that hall, or some people in Pakistan who might watch it later, you believe that this is a very benign thing and you are getting assurances from your friends in different quarters that none of this will come out of it. I can assure you a lot will come out of this. But our intentions are not that. Like I said in the beginning, we are not here because we hate anyone. We are here because we love Pakistan. And we will go to any extent to prove our loyalty to the country and help with course correction. And the other question now, the person who asked about, fact-based movements for democracy, and well, fact number one, election was stolen. How many of your newspaper, including Dawn newspaper, have the courage to speak the truth about it? That Pakistan has the worst election in the history of democratic world, not just in Pakistan, but in the history of entire democracy. Have you ever seen the kind of rigging that took place in Pakistan? Have you ever seen that family members of the candidates are held in prison, illegal incarceration? They are actually tortured. Have you ever seen a judge whose family members has their private parts electrocuted so that they can give decisions in favor of the military junta which is ruling the country right now? Have you heard of daughters, 19-year-old daughter in Lahore being stripped naked in front of her father just so that you can torture the supporters of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf? What other proof are you looking for, sir? I'm here to answer your question.
This
Please
is
tell
Ahmed
me
Nurani
that-
wants. Yeah.
Yes, is there any
This
other
is
question?
this is
Yes,
Anwar,
yes, sir.
Anwar Iqbal sir from Dawn.
Dr. Saab, let's not start a discussion about what happened before and what's happening now. A lot of things have happened before.
No, sir. No,
Probably
sir.
you,
No.
probably
You
you
are
were
wrong
not,
there, sir.
you
I'm
were
sorry.
not
I have to
involved. Sir,
interject. I have to
listen to, sir,
interject
listen.
here.
Let me finish it.
No.
and then you can-
I don't know. You are absolutely wrong, sir. You
Let
need
me
to
let
listen
me
to me
finish
first.
it,
You are
sir. Then you can
completely wrong.
answer.
No. I'm not going to listen to you.
Mia
You're
to
wrong.
fact.
Doctor, just give
See,
him
the thing
okay,
is,
just give
before
him a
you say
moment.
Give me a
anything,
minute. Give me a
before you
minute,
say
sir.
anything, sir,
Give me a
I will
minute.
ask you one
Let me
question
finish
and then
it.
you can say whatever you want.
Let
I'll
me
keep
finish
just
it.
one question before I
अच्छा
you say
उनको एक
anything.
मिनट complete
No,
कर लो.
listen to me, please.
Please,
One
sir,
question.
complete your thought and then let Anwar
Yeah.
Iqbal sir comment.
Can you, I have a question for you, sir.
Mhm.
Can you build a just society on the basis of intellectual dishonesty? It's a
I'm
question
not saying that you
directly
can.
addressed to you, to the media that you
I-
represent, sir.
I'm
Can you
not
build a just
saying you
society on
can.
the basis of intellectual
I'm
dishonesty?
not building any society. I've not been building the societies that are built in Pakistan for making money. I'm not into construction. What I was just responding to what you said, that it hasn't happened before. Yes, it has. There was
No,
a
sir, it
system
has
called.
not. Again, intellectual dishonesty.
Again,
sir.
let me finish it,
This
sir.
is what I'm. That's why I
Let me
mentioned
finish.
intellectual dishonesty.
Sir, let me finish it.
So let me,
It has not.
sir, मुझे
let
थोड़ा
me
सा
finish.
बताने दें. Actually, वो ये कहना चाह रहे हैं. What he's actually trying to say that the level and intensity and the
Sir,
frequency
वही मैं
which is
उसका
right now
एक मिसाल
has
देना
not
चाह
been
रहा
seen before.
I
So I think
was just
please
giving one
complete
example.
your thought.
Mia Tufail Muhammad. He was the Amir of Jamaat Islami and he's above 65. He was raped in the prison by a sweeper. This was arranged by the government and Barki Saab said, yes, it did. So many things have happened. There's Hassan Nasir was killed in Lahore Fort. So
incidences have happened. What he's
people
probably
have
saying
happened.
is that the level
During
of intensity.
MRD, what happened? Yeah, this did not happen in Punjab before. What happened in Sindh during MRD, we can't even think about it. But let's not start discussions on these things. That is, and you said fact. When Nurani says fact based, what he means is he did a story on General Bajpa's properties. Okay, and he attached each and every document that could prove his claims. He did this to General Asim Bajwa and to the army chief as well. So when he says fact based, that's what he means. That if when he wanted, it was very simple. Well, does anybody know for sure that whether this woman was raped or not?
Just respond to that.
Yeah.
Again,
Okay.
we don't know what happened. I haven't been following it very closely.
On regarding the rape thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I
No,
also have to add
I
something to
just have
that.
to say one thing, and again, we don't really know. I mean, we're sitting here again. We don't know, what all of the details are, what exactly happened. But what we have been seeing, which is being documented and live streamed, is the police brutality against students. And that is something that is absolutely established, that is absolutely documented. Chahe wo hua hai ki nahi hua. right? We don't know. And lekin what we are seeing, and there is no doubt about that, is the police brutality that we have seen against young students who are protesting. तो हमारा काम ये है कि हम उसके खिलाफ आवाज उठाएं. And yes, absolutely get to the bottom of कि असल में क्या हुआ. जैसे अब आपको याद होगा कि जब ये जो वही जो पुलिस चीफ जो के खातून है, उनका क्या नाम है? Shehrbano,
She's not a police chief. She's a
not a
ASP
police
or
chief. Yeah,
SP.
she's an ASP, sorry. तो जब वो इचरा वाला इंसिडेंट हुआ था जिसमें वो जाके उनको दिखाया गया था कि she was a big heroine, she goes and she, you know, rescues the people who were being targeted because of that a particular woman was wearing and everything. And then we see Shehrbano go in and pull them out and rescue. I was the first one to laud that effort. I thought this was incredible. This is an amazing woman and she's doing that. Then there were lots of doubts that were cast about whether that incident was planted or not, right? अब वही बात है कि पाकिस्तान में there's so many murky details and we just literally don't know कि who's acting in good faith, bad faith, whatever.
So, Nurani Sahab, I want to add something to the rape. The internationally accepted standard on the rape reporting is, if you look at United Kingdom and North America, that you do not identify the name of the rape victim. Also, when there are small minors who are less than 14 years of age in this country, you know, I've seen certain police instances where the minors are neither identified by the name nor by the picture in the police records, right? So precautions are taken. In this particular case, the education minister of the Punjab government went over there, and you must have seen the videos in which he said that he believes the incident has taken place. He also believes that the CCTV footage, he understands that the CCTV footage has been deleted by the principal of the Punjab College. And then students have actually been naming a particular, woman, girl, who didn't come back to the college for 10-15 days. Now you look at this, that the parents of the same student are being paraded by the Punjab police, and the parent or the father is being compelled. Imagine yourself in being that situation in Pakistan, in an ultra-conservative society, being the father of a girl. The whole city is discussing the rape of that girl, and the father is now compelled to basically say nothing like that happened. My daughter fell down somewhere, she got injured, that's why she has not been back into the college for the 10 days. So do you want them to come, and can you imagine the kind of pressure the Punjab police can exert on them? Also look at this, when Zille Shah's body was recovered, you have seen that footage when Zille Shah was taken away by the police. He disappeared. Then his dead body was discovered in Lahore, and the first postmortem report, which happened incidentally, which was when the body was received in the casualty, identified 27 or 37, strikes on different body parts. And then subsequently a second postmortem was done, which basically said, are there any physicians in this room? Are there any doctors? I mean, imagine I'm a physician who has been part of the forensic medicine. Your first medical postmortem report says 37 strikes on different body parts, and then you come up with a second postmortem report that basically said it was a traffic accident. A traffic accident and, strikes on the body, pointed strikes, are very different. If such is the nature of the tyranny of the Punjab police, how can we talk about the facts? And General Bajwa's story is basically a taxation and financial thing in which you can collect the evidences from Federal Board of Revenue. How can you collect evidences here in this kind of thing?
Can I add a couple of things here? So in terms of rape happened or not happened, Dr. Mueed already mentioned that the actual minister of the current government said, yes, it happened, right? So, and then they were trying to say, he shouldn't have done this, blah, 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 blah. So cover up there. Who are we kidding here? Why did this happen or not happen? Come on, guys. Have some moral courage to say this is unacceptable. It did happen. Look at the circumstantial evidence. This is how you prove a case. Who is benefiting right now? Who is the owner of that college? Who is the son of that owner of the college, and who does he is relative of? He is the Damad of Maryam Nawaz. Is anybody in this room willing to say that they are going to say and do the right thing? I am not, and I will say it out loud. The second thing is, when the press conference was happening and they called a girl who said, previously had released a video that I was the witness and here is the evidence, was brought in with a mask, sitting next to a woman that's my mother and I am the daughter, and I am saying, no, I was not the witness, but this other girl was. And Maryam Nawaz reaches out, turns her mic off and says, no, there was nothing happened. What does that tell you? Same thing, Shahbaz Sharif had done that exact same thing in the past, right? So these kind of things in Pakistan, coming from the areas that we belong to, yes, now the awareness is much more than it was before. 10% of the rapes are reported, maybe even less. Only 1% are convicted of all of these, and only from families who don't have any backing, right? Anybody who has any kind of knowledge, they try to hide those kind of things. And
But
this is what we need to speak up
but
about.
this would actually be taking us very far away from the actual, subject. I think we would like to conclude. Any more comments from here and any more questions? So, yes,
I
sir.
think just a very short comment. If I'm not wrong, I think the question that Nurani Saab had posed was that are we building a movement on the basis of this incident? That's, I think, what he was. No, sir, we're not. We're not. And no, we're not even trying. This is a movement that started on its own without any participation of the party or the political leadership. So it is a movement by the students who feel like they need to come out and show their solidarity with the victim. So no, we're not basing any of our movement on that.
Okay. Okay. I'll reach the school. Bye.
Dr. This is Zahir Java. As executive director, Friends Club, Washington, D.C., I want to register some sentiments. What's going on in Pakistan against political activists, people who they were jailed. And secondly, I have a question. Since the creation of Pakistan, everybody, mostly people, they were aware, especially I would point out Mr. Imran Khan, he was aware of the situation and wrongdoings, and with criminal intention, the generals has done since the creation. So having all those information, how come Imran Khan has given first hand to General Musharraf, and then secondly Bajwa, and then gave him extension. Then after that, now being in power, what he has done to stop this. Rather, when he was ousted from the Prime Minister office, he has taken very seriously all those wrongdoings. Thirdly, I would ask Ms. Hamdani, who you expect more from Democrats or Republican for the resolution you are going to file? So just for, I'm curious.
Mohit bhai, the first part of the question I would like to answer, then Mehlika can answer the second part.
Yes, Dr. Munir.
Yes, we are not spokesperson for Prime Minister Imran Khan, so we cannot speak on his behalf as to what he was thinking. We are here about what happened in Pakistan against democracy and human rights in the last 2 years, and we'll be very happy to answer any question regarding that. Thank you, Mehlika. Go ahead.
This question was
To Sajjad Barki, you mean like he's asking is to the PTI. Yes, go ahead. But well said. Thanks.
Yeah, I think this is probably not the platform to be discussing this, because this is not I am here, as a overseas Pakistani myself. This is not a platform of PTI. But generally, just to make a comment on what you said, please remember that when Imran Khan, you mentioned he supported Musharraf. But then again, at that time, let's not forget, he changed his mind and retracted from that very quickly. And he initially supported him because General Musharraf said he will bring accountability. The big slogan was accountability, which did not happen. Secondly, you said Imran Khan worked with General Bajwa. Of course he did. He was the chief of staff. He was, somebody who was very important in that country. And I would love to see we develop a tradition where the prime minister of the country and the chief of staff of that country can work hand in hand. And I think this is exactly what Imran was trying to do at that time. Unfortunately, he didn't know that didn't realize that he was being deceived, that there was a conspiracy going on against him. So, to blame him for supporting the generals, I think we all have a responsibility to support our army. They are an institution that is important for the country, and we all need to support it.
But not their interference in politics.
Yeah, obviously, I'm as an institution, yes.
Okay. Anybody has any question? Nazish, can you please give them? Ji, Barrister Ihtisham.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Barrister Ihtisham Amiruddin. I've been a lawyer in Pakistan, also an anchor person. My question is to Sajjad Barki Saab, and maybe Dr. Munir can also answer that as a journalist. We've been looking at the political strategy of PTI for the release of Imran Khan. I was talking to somebody today in Pakistan, and the gentleman is a supporter of Imran Khan, and he was so frustrated that he said that I think that now Imran Khan should crack a deal, because if the people are not coming out on the streets for his release, then why should he only sacrifice behind the bars? So that is the sentiment of the supporter of Imran Khan in Pakistan, whose confidence in the PTI leadership in Pakistan is kind of shaken, number one. Number two, whatever strategy PTI has devised in Pakistan, we've seen that after the protests that took place on the 4th and 5th of October, things have changed for the worse for Imran Khan, and particularly for his family as well. His sisters are in jail right now also. So my question is that today it is in the news that Maulana Fazlur Rahman has also agreed upon with the government upon the constitutional amendments. And with those amendments, the government is trying to take away the power of suo motu jurisdiction of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, number one. And they're trying to get the authority to appoint the next Chief Justice, because up till now, Al-Jihad Trust case was being followed, which says that the most senior judge in the Supreme Court is going to be the Chief Justice of Pakistan. But now they're trying to give this authority to the parliamentary committee, that out of the three most senior judges.
They're actually bringing it 5.
Okay.
So because they want to bring Yahya Afridi, so they want to expand the list to 5.
All right. But the news that I've read, it talked about 3. So
so
even if it's 3, it gives the discretion to the parliamentary committee to select somebody as the Chief Justice. For example, if they're not happy with Mansoor Ali Shah's interpretation of the law, they might pick the one on the 2nd or the 3rd. So my question is that whatever strategy has been devised by PTI in Pakistan is not, I understand that it's a struggle and it will take time and it needs tenacity and stamina, but things must be seen to be going in the right direction, right? So that is my first question. So PTI USA agrees with the strategy of PTI Pakistan or not? Number one. Number two, my question is that we've seen so many PTI supporters in USA talking about the fact that if Trump takes over as the president again, that is going to be very helpful for PTI to raise to bring Imran Khan out of the bars. So is PTI USA working on those lines? Is there any dialogue or any kind of an effort being put in with the Republican Party? Are we going to, if, for example, Trump comes into power, are we going to see any change the way American administration is treating PTI or Imran Khan right now in Pakistan, and the way they're going to treat it after the elections, if there's a possible political change, if that change happens?
Okay, Barrister Ihtisham, I have to pick my daughter from the school, so I want to add something over here, which will help you. And that's a very difficult question because most of the people have not really grappled with that question so far. But I would like all of you to think on that question. In the last 24 hours, Pakistan and India have developed very good optics at the SCO, where the Indian foreign minister that came to Pakistan after almost 9-10 years, they have engaged in a very warm optics. So the Sharif Zardari Asim regime have delivered to Washington, London, and Brussels what they actually wanted for all that time period, and which, as per my analysis of international relationship, was actually the principal factor and motivation behind the regime change operation in Pakistan, because Imran Khan's government was caught in a very difficult situation with India after the 5th August 2019, and it was not politically possible for them to make any move as they were being asked to embrace India, engage them for trade, connectivity, and all that. In the last 24 hours, things are now moving in that direction. So while this panel and many of the Pakistani-Americans, I do not know if Dr. Munir is still there, are thinking of raising the issues with the Congress, and the United States Congress has actually resonated and responded when you raise the issues of the human right, the rule of law, the fairness in the election, because these are the fundamental cardinal principles to the American way of life and constitution. But the American executive is looking at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is containment of China. And the containment of China is possible by giving an expanded role to India and South Asia. This is a very deep-seated paradigm in American thinking because of the Monroe Doctrine. They believe that, any power can only become a great power when it has unfettered access to two oceans. So United States had access to Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. China has access to the Pacific Ocean. They wanted to have access to the Indian Ocean. So Pakistan was the only country that was providing them the strategic space. So by taking over Pakistan, by bringing in India into Pakistan, you block the China's rise to the global power aspiration. So now, since the regime in Pakistan, so all the human right violation, the constitution destruction, the lack of parliament and anything will be ignored by Washington, London, and Brussels, which is actually being ignored. So I think this is something which you have to seriously think and reflect, that what would be the largest political party in Pakistan thinking in terms of India, and how will it take its position in Washington and within Pakistan? Because I do not think you can resist it anymore. You cannot take a position against India-Pakistan relationship. The moment has been lost. But the people of Pakistan have not really grasped. They have been thinking upon Israel and Middle East and other kind of nonsensical issues which had nothing to do with the regime change. It was not related to Russia. It had nothing to do with the Russia trip. Donald Lu merely knew that thing is happening. He blurted it out. He was not nearly the main, but PTI had been spending lots of money in focusing on Donald Lu and things like this. So I think that I just added my question to your question. So thank you.
I mean, there's a lot of questions. Of course, Dr. Munir, I agree with a lot of what you've said. I think these are things that we will have to be looking at in the future. As we all understand, the main issue between Pakistan and India has always been Kashmir, and that is one issue that Imran Khan stood firm on. I wonder if this current government that is sitting there and the army establishment will give up on the issue of Kashmir, or will they make a settlement on it somehow with India? And unless they do that, it'll be very difficult to convince the people of Pakistan that everything is fine between Pakistan and India, and let's make friends and move on. So the struggle will continue. I agree with you that yes, the Americans are. This is their deep desire to make India the controlling factor in that region. And that's why most of the things that have happened in the last few years, we've seen that. But I think this is something to be looking at in the future and studying. And I think PTI will also be very seriously looking at this. I personally, again, this is not a PTI thing. I personally feel like there's no reason why neighbors should not have friendly relations. And unfortunately, somehow for Pakistan, we've never been able to do that. I mean, at one time we used to have friendly relations with Iran. We lost that. We didn't have friendly relations with Afghanistan. India, we have to learn to find compromises, and hopefully, things will turn for the better. Coming back to some of the questions that Barrister Ihtisham had brought up, of course, yes, I know there's a lot of criticism right now at us, at the party leadership, and of course, some of it is genuine. I understand it. People's feelings are hurt. It looks like the party is not doing enough to bring their leader out. But I promise you, the party is doing all they can. They're living in an environment where they're struggling to even survive on a daily basis. Our leadership has to run from house to house. Yesterday, one of our MNAs was arrested because he was hiding in one place and he left that area to go to another hiding place, and in the middle of the journey, he was arrested. So things are tough. It's not for lack of trying, and as we all know that all communication was cut off from our leader. That has been a huge setback for us because the party has always depended on his advice, his instructions to move on. And we've not had that in the last couple of weeks. And we've struggled, to be honest. The leadership has struggled because of that. But I cannot sit here and criticize my leadership for not doing anything because I know that they're trying their best. The circumstances are not very conducive to start or to achieve things very rapidly in that country. Hopefully, there was some other thing that you had also brought up. Oh, the Trump factor. Yeah, well, let me put it this way. No, we are not. We're not counting on anybody. I hope Anwar Bhai doesn't report me tomorrow as saying that if Trump comes, Imran will be freed. No, we're not looking for that. Neither have we ever gone to any of these administrations looking for help for just Imran Khan. We are in touch with both parties that are running with the Kamala Harris and with the President Trump's camp. We do feel that we may have a better chance with President Trump coming into office only because we know the history of the other camp. We know their policies. We know what they're going to do. And it's not been very, very conducive to what we want in Pakistan. So we are hoping that if President Trump does get elected, he will have a different policy. And because of his previous relationships with Imran Khan, maybe he'll help out Imran and the party to at least bring in a democratic way of life in Pakistan. So, but we're not counting on any one party as such.
Thank you so much. With this one, we just want to give the concluding remarks. First of all, I would like to say special thanks to all the volunteers from First Pakistan Global and the Community Alliance for Peace and Justice. Malika, she flew, and Barkisab, he flew from Texas as well. So thank you so much. And just last couple of things that what we are doing right now is for the love of our motherland. We are doing all this to stand with truth and justice. And this is not a responsibility given to us by any political personality or a political party. This is for all of us, is a divine responsibility. So this is a responsibility which is given to all of us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when there is injustice in the society, when there is oppression, we have to stand up for that, whatever resources you have. Before that, in the past, the prophets, they used to come and establish justice in the society. So now, after our last prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are not gonna get any more prophets. So this is mutual responsibility for all of us to stand up against this oppression, stand up against these atrocities, and help your brothers and sisters in Pakistan to regain their democracy, rule of law, justice, and peace. And with all that, we hope that they will adopt the thing of truth and reconciliation, and then we can move forward with the democratic and progressive Pakistan. Long live Pakistan. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.